So have you ever thought a year of travel sounds amazing, but you have no idea how it would be possible? We didn't either, but we did figure it out.
Yeah, there's no easy hack. This is not that kind of video.
Sorry.
But you can do it. It just takes some planning, a little persistence, and maybe a magic ingredient at the end.
Yeah. So when we first considered doing this, I still remember the exact moment. We were, at the time, we owned a really nice house in suburban Houston with a beautiful backyard fireplace. We'd put Juliana to bed. She was young, opened a bottle of wine, and we were just talking about things we might want to do. And the idea came up, what if we were to take a year off and travel while our daughter was still... She was old enough that she could carry her own roller bag and would remember, and also still young enough that she wanted to hang out with us.
Those days are fleeting.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So, and we were like, oh, what a cool idea, right? But then, and I think it would have just floated off into the night and died out with the embers, but we did one key thing.
Yeah, we actually picked a date.
Right. Like
6 years in the future, we were going to do this.
Yeah, that was the year our daughter would be going from elementary to middle school. And we thought, no one ever says, oh, middle school, the best years of my life.
Yeah, right.
So it felt like the perfect time.
Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't a thoroughly detailed plan. We hadn't even picked France yet.
No, we had no idea.
This was a very rough sketch at this point.
Yeah, just an idea, really.
Yeah.
The one thing we did know is that we were going to need money to pull this off.
Yes.
This is the key, as you might imagine. So we just started to figure that out. We didn't get too in the weeds of what are we going to do about jobs, what we do about houses, schools. Like that was just too far removed from where we were. We thought, okay, we just need to figure out how we're going to fund this first.
Yeah.
So we broke out a spreadsheet and realized the current life we were living, we just didn't have enough financial margin to ever pull this off.
Right. I mean, that gave us some momentum there. We sold our house. We sold a car.
For real.
Yeah.
It was pretty dramatic.
Yeah, we moved into a really nice place that was it was a great summer. It was a great place. It was
but
a little
a
easier on
small
our budget.
apartment
A little small
on the bus line.
Yeah.
We loved it, but it was a big change.
Yeah. This created some financial flexibility for us that we were able to do some different things with the extra money each month. We were able to start saving.
Yep. We chose very specific ways to invest. So things that allowed us to like still let the money grow in case, because this was still all like a pretty wobbly idea. I mean,
for sure,
it was out there, but we thought, so instead of like completely fully funding our 401k, we would put some money in a Roth because we knew we could get to that in a few years. We picked a high deductible health plan that Jason's work offered at the time, so we could open a HSA health savings account and we could put money there that we knew could grow, but we could access it later.
Yeah. So both of these gave us the opportunity to get some tax advantages, to maximize our savings without sacrificing the flexibility to be able to have this money, this future date, this 6-year date in the future.
Yeah,
if we needed it.
This was the big deal. And if as I'm saying these things, you're like, oh God.
What's a Roth? What's an HSA?
Yeah. So check out our friend, The Financial Tortoise, his YouTube channel. He has great insight on all sorts of financial, anything personal finance. So go there and you can start to figure this stuff out.
We'll link that in the description.
Yeah. But we just kept trying to think outside the box too of ways we could create funds coming up. So like one year we actually found a good deal on a rental house, which I know in the current housing market probably sounds crazy, but we bought a rental house thinking like it'll throw off some cash while we're traveling.
Yeah. And again, it was a trade-off. You know, for a year or two, we weren't able to maximize our 401k contributions because we bought this house, but it gave us monthly cash flow that might be useful at this future date.
Yeah, so we just tried to keep thinking about flexibility. Even the idea that at some point I was ready for a career pivot, and we knew I had been a critical care nurse for 17 years and was just so exhausted from the long shifts at the hospital, wanted to do something else. And we started to think about, man, if we really did this, Jason's gonna have to quit his job. Portability was not an option.
Remote work was not an option where it was.
Yeah. So we started to think, okay, whatever I do next needs to be something that can be portable so that we have some possibility of working and income as we travel. So we were even kind of thinking about long-term in our careers. Also, how could we create some portable work? And then we just kept chugging along.
Kept chugging along. You know, and this doesn't mean that you have to sell your house, you have to start a job, you have to buy a rental house. None of this is exactly specific advice on how this must be achieved. You know, the idea is just to keep creating flexibility and opening doors for this thing we wanted to do in the future. All of these steps just made that more likely, more achievable. You know, this year where things are going to be different, but we've got money set aside, we can get to it, we've got cash flow coming in from these other investment opportunities. So just keep opening doors, keep opening doors.
Right. And I don't want to make it sound like we turned into monks for like 6 years trying to save money. I mean, because we still, honestly, we didn't know if this would happen or not. So, I mean, we still went to dinner with our friends. We took Juliana to Disney World, which was
it was a great trip.
So fun, expensive, but so fun. And you know, we also there was some unexpected stuff that happened in the middle.
2017, we were living in Houston. Hurricane Harvey hit.
Yeah.
If you don't remember, it was, at the time, the largest rain event in, I don't know, at least North American, maybe modern world history.
They said the Earth's crust was depressed by like a centimeter due to the weight of the water.
Our house might have been at the center of the depression, too.
It felt like it. I mean,
so much water. The whole house was kind of
wrecked.
And it all had to be repaired. Still inhabitable, but we had to repair every floor, every wall, every window. It was a lot.
Due to like some faulty installation of some things before we moved in, insurance refused to pay. It was a long story, but we had to come up with a bunch of cash to like finish the repairs the insurance didn't cover. It was not fun and very unexpected.
And again, at that point, we had options. We took a 401k loan to pay for some of those fixes that were required to be able to get back into the house.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably not something you don't see, take a 401k loan. That's
right. That's not good financial optimization.
But what it did for us is it allowed us to keep some cash reserves. You know, we were able to pay ourselves back on this loan. But to keep these cash reserves for this future date where cash reserves would be valuable. You know, and so kind of making those trade-offs and keeping that goal in mind, you know, this loan gave us the flexibility to maintain that and keep moving forward. We didn't want the dream to die because of some faulty windows,
rotten
wood that wasn't going to work.
So. Felt like not a good trade. So, I mean, then, you know, time passes, right? Like 6 years rolls around, the year is coming, Juliana's finishing elementary school, and all of a sudden it was like, oh God, are we really going to do this? Because, I mean, we had been living our lives, right? There had been all kinds of things that happened. We had moved, there'd been the pandemic.
Gosh, remember the toilet paper shortages?
Oh, do I?
Good times.
You know, we'd moved to Colorado. Juliana had already switched schools. She just made new friends. He had ended up quitting his job anyway and was like trying to decide what he wanted to do next. You can watch the video about that. We'll also link that below. And so there was just, plus, you know, we had been so focused on this that it had really helped us create a small nest egg, right, over the past few years, which made me feel secure considering I was starting a new business that, I mean, felt like it was getting momentum, but wasn't making a ton of money at the time.
I mean, the life was pretty good at this moment.
Yeah, we loved Colorado.
Life was good. So that's a real challenging time to kind of make decisions where you're introducing unknowns, uncertainties, new risks.
When life is good, like why would you risk screwing that up even if there's something really cool you want to do? It feels, it's just scary, you know? But as we thought about this again, we just realized the time was going to pass. This was an experience that we really wanted to have. And, you know, it felt like we had mitigated as many risks, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a journal, a plan, a notebook, a spreadsheet, those can do amazing things. But no matter how much planning you do, even with the best Excel spreadsheet you can design, you just can't mitigate all these things. You can't figure out everything.
But we had this feeling like, okay, this is what we've been training for, right? And if we don't do this now, when? Like we knew it just wouldn't happen. So, you know, that was when we decided to go for it. So if you're watching to this point, what I hope is the takeaway here is that if this is something you're dreaming of doing, even if it feels far away, you don't know the details. You're not sure exactly how this would happen. You're not even sure how you pay for it. It's okay. Just start, you know, open the spreadsheet. dream a little bit and figure out like ways that you can start to plan for this. Pick a date. Just start.
Plant your flag. And, you know, an extraordinary life by definition requires doing something out of the ordinary, doing something unusual.
And you can.
You can do that. You know, plant your flag, pick a date, pick a time, and just keep moving.
Yeah, just get started. So you may have figured out by now the magic ingredient we mentioned at the beginning is really just courage.
You've got to have the courage to kind of jump and face some of those unknowns and face some of those risks and some of those uncertainties. You know, that can be hard to do.
Yeah.
But
ultimately, the time is going to pass anyway.
And you might as well be moving towards something extraordinary.
Yeah. Bon courage. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining us.